we're going to talk about bees. Good afternoon, everybody. We've got a story today about bees, and who doesn't need a story about bees in their life? I'm going to try something new today, so if it doesn't work, I apologize in advance. For those of you who don't know me, my name is John Shank, and I'm the founder and managing broker of Deerwood Realty in St. Louis, Missouri. We're a boutique brokerage. We specialize mainly in residential and light commercial sales, and that's what I do when I'm not podcasting, when I'm not doing video. If you like stories about neighbors, HOAs, real estate, bad real estate deals, good real estate deals, things of that nature, you should really probably hit the subscribe button now or check out our channel at Deerwood Realty STL on YouTube. You can also subscribe to our podcast or pretty much everywhere, Apple Podcasts, Deezer, Stitcher, etc. So today we talk about bees, and I am not anti-bee, and I hope the big bee lobby doesn't come after me. But we're going to talk about a story about an HOA in, I'm going to guess, South Carolina, and we'll see how that goes. So the didn't work out like I thought it would so far. I'm doing well. So the article, the headline is, Homeowner Forced by HOA to Move the Hives in Fight Over Backyard Bees. And so it talks about a woman who has 3 beehives in her backyard, and the HOA has sent her a letter that says it's time for those to go, $100 a day in fines. And so she's decided to move them off of the property to avoid the fines, but she's not happy about it. And so one of the things she says in the article is, or one of the things the article says is that the Charlotte Observer reported Monday that Matthews calls itself a bee city, but apparently this woman has not seen that. The mayor of the city is a beekeeper as well, and he said that the neighbor could put her hives in a community garden on town property. And so he said, I think it's unfortunate that a community doesn't welcome bees, but I understand there were some issues. And my thought to that is, like, in what way is the community not welcoming bees? I mean, there's a big difference between, do we hold out? How do you do that even? Do you put out signs, like welcome mats? There's a big difference between welcoming bees and getting stung by them. And that's my thinking. And so going back to the city, city calls itself Bee City, but maybe change it to something else. Like, for instance, like, what if you called it an alligator city? Would that mean that the people would carry, or have alligators around, or an ocelot city, which would be pretty awesome, actually. But anyway, so the issue was the bees had stung a puppy. And so the neighbors went to the HOA and reported that the hive was a huge concern. Now, my problem with that is, how do we know that the bee that stung the puppy was from this hive? Is there some sort of tracing or something like that? Bee stings are serious. I have no issue with people not being happy about this. But at the same time, I don't know if we can accuse this particular, without some sort of evidence. I'm not a lawyer, but how do we know that the bee that stung the puppy was the same bee that was part of these hives? In the article, it says the HOA says the bees are in violation of its no raising or keeping animals clause. And so then I was like, well, is an insect an animal? And so I checked on Google and it said yes. So if the bees are in fact an animal and the HOA has a policy against raising animals, I'm a little bit confused by what the issue is here. And I don't mean to be crass, but it's like you have these rules in an HOA. You moved there, okay? You decide to grow bees or whatever you do with bees. Breed bees, house bees, anyway. And it's against the HOA rules if it's an animal. That's on you. That's just my thinking. And so later on in the article, it says the importance of public policy behind beekeeping and why we need them continues forward. And this is by the lady who lost her beehives. And what I'm confused by is who's arguing that bees aren't important. Okay. And what I'm trying to figure out is you have these bees in the backyard, okay, and they're all there, and I don't know that bees sting everything in sight, but there was a bee that stung this puppy, and so what? I mean, where do you draw the line? I don't know. She also said that she was going to start a petition and a lobby for expansion of state protections for beekeepers. Currently, the Honeybee and the Honey Act of 1977 offers some protections for small beekeepers, but it doesn't apply to neighborhood HOAs. So, do we want to expand beekeeping with an HOA? Like, do we want to say that you have a right to have beehives in every backyard? And I just don't know what to do. I mean, I don't know. I don't understand how the Honeybee and Honey Act of 1977 offering protections for beekeepers. You can always have a beehive, somewhere. Even in this article, you could have had it in a community garden. You just can't have it in the backyard in a property that's got an HOA. And so I did have some thoughts, and I did want to go over them. And one of those thoughts was, let's get that like that. How hard is it for people to read the rules and regulations of an HOA before they move there? Whenever I'm out real estating, working with buyers, I say, hey, this place has an HOA, or here's the rules of the subdivision. You need to read these. Now, do my buyers do it? Probably not. But I do tell them they need to read that information. And it seems simple enough to me. If there are rules ahead of time and you move in, then you know that you're part of the HOA. If you don't like those rules, you have to move someplace else. In this case, now there's always, the HOAs are crazy sometimes. There's no question. But this seems like a pretty cut and dry situation where, you've got a bunch of bees. You got a dog that got a puppy, and that's the other thing. It's a puppy. If it was a baby, would it change the situation? If it was an animal that no one likes, if it was a snake and the bee bit the snake, would anybody care? So it does matter what the bees have already stung, even though we can't prove that the bees stung the dog, I don't think. You'll correct me, Internet, I'm sure. So why is it okay for this woman to decide to keep 3 beehives in her backyard when she lives in the neighborhood? And where is that line? For example, if someone, kept 4 lions in their backyard, bee stings can kill people, and so can lions. So I don't understand what the issue is here. The fact that this woman can't have bees in her backyard, beehives, to me, because of the HOA, it seems like the HOA is doing its job. It's enforcing this. And so it goes back to this understanding that you live in a neighborhood and the HOA employed correctly is set up to allow people to live in peace and free from fear of tiger dens or bees or anything else. The HOA always is going to get a bad deal because they get stuck enforcing the rules. So anytime somebody thinks a rule isn't right, it's always going to be the HOA, not the person breaking the rule. But I was thinking that there's this need for representation, especially in this article. In this article, the HOA nor the person who filed the complaint wanted to speak to the press, and it's noted in the article. So consequently, they are not represented in a positive light in this story. So which opinion, you have a person that wants these bees removed and the HOA, or this lady wants to keep her bees, which opinion is the correct one? And then is the HOA the silent majority because those that choose to live there are agreeing to the rules by the nature of them living there? That's where it gets interesting. So let's say you have 100 houses and 99 of them don't want this these bees in this backyard. Okay. But they don't say anything. And the one person says that has the bees, like, oh, this is a great thing and we need to really keep them in the backyard. There seems to be a lack of representation for causes that seem kind of obvious. Maybe because they seem obvious. Now, I don't know there could be big B out there that's against this altogether, then we should have these bees everywhere. But in this particular case, I think that the HOA did the right thing based on the rule that, no raising or keeping of animals. Now, I suspect that goes, you can have a pet. Okay, you can have one pet bee or maybe many pet bees, but you can't raise the bees, I guess. And then that's the other thing is, why are we making this so difficult? Do we need to write another rule in the HOA to stop the chances of somebody having a bee on their property? I don't know the answers to this, but it just, to me, it seems obvious that the HOA was doing the right thing by enforcing the rule. Now, if the lady doesn't like the rule, then she should lobby to change the rules of the HOA and, change the laws. That's totally within her rights, and that's makes total sense. But as the rules are set up right now, it looks like this is wrong, and it's her problem. So, what do you think? Do you think it's okay to have beehives in the backyard? And then if you do, how many? I'd be curious to know what you think. I mean, we talk about, it's just 3 beehives. And then it's like, well, what if there's 6? What if there's 10? I mean, where is the line? And I hope we don't think I think bees are important. And there's people that have, in St. Louis, they have these little roadside stands that are like, locally produced honey. And I'm totally good with that. And I suspect they have bees somewhere. But in this case, where there's a violation of the HOA rules that seem to be pretty clear, then I think we'd be anti-bee on this one. So that's what I have. Send me an email, media@deerwoodrealtystl.com. Tell me about your neighbors. Tell me about something that might be bad on real estating and things like that. I'd be curious to what you come up with. And then if you don't want to send an email, you can always call me, 314-274-3964, and leave a voicemail there, and might put you on the air, and maybe not. Maybe you don't want to be. Just let me know in the voicemail. But that's all I have for you today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you on the next one.